Welcome back, guys. I want to talk to you a little bit about graphing. Now, graphing we did start to talk about before we left. A graph is just really where they gather information. It's kind of like when we take votes and we count how many people like this or like that. In our class, we did our favorite foods. Do you remember that? And we asked 10 friends what their favorite foods were, and then we kind of compared. That's what a graph is. And this one is the one that we're going to be working on is a bar graph because it has those little squares, the bars. We've also done tally graphs where we make tally marks, those little sticks, right? Graphing is not hard at all. It's not difficult. But sometimes there are a few kinds of questions that get us tricked and we make silly mistakes in our testing. So I really want to go over just those kinds of questions today. And then I'm going to show you, if you have in your math book, I'm going to show you the pages that you could work on if you have your math book at home, okay? All right, but pay attention to this part of the lesson because this is true of most first graders I've ever met, that they get these kinds of questions wrong, okay? So let's pretend that my boys are making some basketball goals, okay? So let's pretend they were shooting hoops and they made some goals, all right? It says Lan made 2 shots. Can you see that? And Cooper made 5. See how the bar goes up to 5? And then Nathan got up to 4. Eli had 3 goals, basketball goals. And let's see, Freddie had 7. Okay? So pretty soon kids know the most and the least pretty easily. But those aren't the questions that get us tricked. The questions that get us tricked are when we have to compare 2 of them. So for example, if I say, how many more goals did Freddie get than Eli? See, you're comparing those 2 kids. Freddie definitely has more, right, than Eli. And they're not asking me how many Freddie has. We're asking the difference between the 2 of them. And that's a little tricky. All right, so my question was, how many more goals did Freddie have than Eli? So you got to look at Freddie and Eli. They were both even Steven, right? But then Eli stopped making goals, and Freddie had 1 more, 2, 3, 4 more than Eli. So the answer is 4, because Freddie had 4 more extra goals than Eli did. Does that make sense? All right, let's try another one. Now let's look at Cooper and Lan. Look at Cooper and Lan. Here's Lan. He has this many. 2. Good. And Cooper has, 5. So, my question is, how many more shots or goals does Cooper have than Lan? What do you think? Yeah, 3. Because look, they were even. But then 1, 2, 3 more goals for Cooper. Now, sometimes they try to trick you and they try to ask you how many less. That's a really kind of a hard question. It's just counting, but it's just sometimes it's kind of confusing about how they ask you. All right, so don't be tricked. Listen to this one. They might ask fewer. Listen, how many fewer goals did Nathan get than Freddie? How many less or fewer? So Freddie definitely got more, right? So we're trying to figure out how many less. Yeah, the difference. So let's see. Freddie had 7, right? And Nathan has, can't see it upside down, 4. So do you see the difference there? We're looking for how many less. So you have to count back. 1, 2, 3 less. Yeah, Nathan has 3 less than Freddie. Yeah, so those are called comparison graphs, like questions. They want to ask you about the difference between the 2, okay? Let's try it again with the girls this time. Let's pretend the girls are collecting Shopkins, those little characters they like. Let's pretend they're collecting them. And I didn't color coordinate it. I should have, but I didn't. I forgot. All right, so this is, Lacey has 3 Shopkins. Tegan has 6 Shopkins. Addie has 2 Shopkins. And Eleanor has 8 Shopkins. All right, already we can already see the most and the least, right? Yeah, we can see Eleanor has the most, and in this graph, Addie has the least. Now, this is not true, it's just for pretend, but it's just helping us with information. But listen to my question. How many more Shopkins does Eleanor have than Addie? All right, so Addie has 2, and Eleanor has 8. So we're looking for the extra, because she has way more, doesn't she? We want to know how many more. So let's see. You start with 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra ones. Eleanor has 6 extra Shopkins than Addie. Okay? And the way you can do that with numbers is to start at the 2 that Addie has, 2, and go to 8 that Eleanor has. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would be 6 extra. She has 6 extra Shopkins. All right, you ready? How many more Shopkins does Tegan have than Lacey? Lacey has 3, and Tegan has 6. How many more Shopkins does Tegan have than Lacey? Well, they both had 3, but then Tegan got a couple extra, didn't she? Yeah, she got 1, 2, 3 extra. She has twice as many, doesn't she? Yeah, because 3 and 3 more would be 6. So let's see. Tegan has 3 extra ones than Lacey. You understand? And Lacey has 3 less than Tegan. Yeah, so don't be tricked on graphs when they ask you questions like that, when you're asking to compare, okay? Now, another question they might ask that gets us confused is how many people were surveyed or asked. So they're asking about how many people voted. So all you have to do is count how many votes there were, okay? So you have to count. If they said, how many goals did all of these boys shoot in basketball? If I want to know how many goals altogether, or how many people were surveyed, how many votes, I'd have to count all of them, okay? Okay, so if you want to practice some graphing, all you need to do is go to this book if you have it. Some of you won't, and that's okay. If you do, or any of you, you know what, anybody that is sending home your math workbooks in first grade or any grade, there's usually some kind of a graphing chapter. So that's what I would have you do. I would have you look for the pages with graphs and do those. If you're in my class, I want you to finish all the graphing pages. It's really good practice, okay? Because you have to know how to read data and how to read a graph, and don't get tricked by those questions, because it's simply just counting and really looking at the information. But you can get really easily tricked if you don't listen to what they're asking you, okay? So if you want to go ahead and get started on some of those graphing pages, this one is page 523, but any of those graphing pages in that chapter would be really great practice for second grade, okay? Have fun and keep learning.